Welcome back to Hannity. Senator Marco Rubio continues to climb in the polls, and with that comes extra scrutiny by the mainstream media and from his fellow Republican rivals. Now, in an effort to put questions about his personal spending to rest, well, Rubio's campaign over the weekend released more of the senator's credit card statements. And joining us now, 2016 Republican presidential candidate, Florida Senator Marco Rubio. Senator, especially with Donald Trump, who I just asked about, it seems to be a back and forth with you and him. That, well, if he can't control his credit cards, how is he possibly going to manage the nation's finances? And what's your response to him?
Well, look, I'm not sure someone who's like Donald Trump that's taken 4 companies into bankruptcy should be lecturing anyone about finances. I think what he's referring to is the credit card statements from my time as the leader of the Republican Party House campaigns. We've released those, and they show that what I've always said, and that is the overwhelming majority of the expenses on that card that was secured under my personal credit were for political uses, and any time there was a personal expense, I paid for it. The party never did. This is an issue we dealt with back in 2010 when Charlie Crist tried to raise it. But I think it's more of an effort, particularly from the left and some in the media, to distract from the central issue of this campaign, which is the finances of the American people. We have millions of people in this country that have given up looking for work. We have record numbers of people under Barack Obama living on government dependence. The unemployment numbers among minorities and young people are higher than among the general population. For the first time in 35 years, we have more businesses failing than starting. This is what this campaign needs to be about. We should spend as much time as we can focused on those issues, which I know the left doesn't want to focus on because they want to distract from the failures of Barack Obama, failures that Hillary Clinton only wants to expand upon.
Especially after the last debate, you are now third nationally in the Quinnipiac poll, the Wall Street Journal poll. 2 polls in Iowa now have you in 3rd place. 2 New Hampshire polls have you in 3rd place. Solid 3rd place behind Donald Trump and Ben Carson. How do you account for this rise, and how do you take it to the next level?
Well, one of the things I've never tried to do is spend a lot of time thinking about polls because they're going to go up and down. We've obviously been up in these polls, down, back up again and down. The only polls that matter are when they show up at that Iowa caucus and a week later in New Hampshire to vote. And between now and then, these voters are reserved the right to change their mind multiple times. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on the message of my campaign. We'll answer questions and so forth, but we're going to focus primarily on what this campaign is about. And for me, it's about the millions of people that are saying to themselves, we feel like we no longer even belong in our own country. We have a government that's completely out of touch. People with traditional values are being ostracized, demonized, called haters and bigots. We have an economy that leaving people struggling with the daily cost of living, young Americans straddled with student loans, businesses that can't survive, small business formation in America is down. And then around the world, we're being humiliated by the Chinese, by Vladimir Putin, by Iran, by radical jihadists. These are the issues that people are really upset about. And it seems like no matter who we elect, nothing changes. That frustration needs to be met.
So let me
we need
ask
to be
you
realistic about our challenges.
So you got elected president of the United States. I agree with you. I feel the same way about the nearly 95 million Americans out of the labor force, 50 million in poverty, 46 million on food stamps, median income down, healthcare costs up. People are really suffering and struggling. So your first 100 days, you'll do what to get the economy back rolling so it will help those people?
I mean, on my first day in office, we're going to repeal those EPA rules like the Clean Power, the waters of the U.S., all these ridiculous environmental rules that are destroying not just the energy sector, but American economic growth. I'm going to order every government agency that's working on Common Core to cease and desist. We're going to immediately move, for example, to stop any taxpayer funding of abortions, whether it's in the United States or abroad. We're going to stop any efforts to close Guantanamo and try to transfer these terrorists either to the United States or in some cases releasing them to other countries. And we're going to cancel the deal with Iran. On my first day in office, we will reimpose those sanctions. And that's just my first day in office. And all of that will come after I put my left hand on the Bible and my right hand in the air and swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States. And unlike the current president, I will actually mean that when I take that oath.
You came in 2010 as a Tea Party conservative. And you were down really even until late in that race against Charlie Crist, if I recall. I think your campaign really surged late in the campaign. And you're a Tea Party conservative. The only criticism that I hear about you goes back to one issue, and that's immigration and the deal that you tried to do. And it's the only one that I hear. But yet it seems to be such a big issue in this campaign. What do you say to conservatives that may still have residual resentment and anger over that one issue?
Well, look, I live in a state that's deeply impacted by immigration, and I was trying to make a difference. I was trying to produce the most conservative bill possible in a Senate controlled by Democrats, and then hope that a more conservative House would make it even better. What we underestimated is how much people distrust the federal government. In essence, it's not enough to just pass a law that says we're going to build a wall. They want you to actually build the wall, and then they'll let you move forward on the other things. So we reached a point in that debate where people were saying to us, it doesn't matter what the law says you're going to do or make them do. They won't do it. The federal government will just ignore it. And so what I've learned from that experience is that the only way forward on immigration isn't just to pass enforcement bills, but to actually do it. You're going to have to prove to the American people, not just that E-Verify has been implemented, not just that entry-exit tracking system is implemented, and not just that the wall has been built. You're going to have to prove that it's working, that illegal immigration numbers have come substantially down. And if we do that, then I think people are going to be very reasonable about how we modernize legal immigration, so that it's more about merit than about family,
in other words, let me ask
basis.
Let me do a follow-up in this way. I think what you just said about stopping the Iranian deal, the things you do with the EPA, your first day in office, I think is very appealing to conservatives who are going to be voting in this primary. And I think you have told me now for a long time that you thought it was a mistake going along with that immigration deal. But I think people want one more step further, and that if you didn't respect our laws and sovereignty, you don't get citizenship. Are you prepared to say that?
Well, that's a majority position. First of all, I don't think we're even going to get to that stage of the debate until we've done those other two things. I don't even think you're going to get to that until you get to the other two things that I talked about, which is the enforcement and then dealing with the second part, which is the modernization. Now, the majority position in our party is that it should stop at just a work permit. And as I've said before, that's the majority position. As I've said, I personally am open to allowing people to apply for a green card after 10 years have passed, if they've passed background checks, if they've learned English, if they've paid a fine and paid taxes. In 10 years after all of that has happened, I'm personally open to allowing people to apply for a green card. That is not a majority position in my party, and so I don't know what the circumstances are going to look like in 10 or 15 or 20 years from now, whenever that process begins.
But before any discussion, just to be clear, before any discussion of this, the borders will be 100% secure. Before you even are willing to talk about it.
It's not even about discussion. You can't even move to the second step, which is modernizing legal immigration, until you haven't just passed laws on enforcement. You have to put it in place, and you have to prove that there are results. And if the American people see, okay, there are results, it's actually happening, then you've been able to deal with that distrust that they have. You can't say, trust us, we're going to do it. It has to happen. They have to see it. And when that's happened, I think that's the key that unlocks the door to the other reforms that are needed, like the one that I think is really important. We have to change our legal immigration system to a merit-based system. In the 21st century, people should be coming here on the basis of what they can do, what skills they have, not whether or not you have a relative living here. That's a dramatic and important change for us to make, because it reflects the realities of the 21st century economy.
All right, Senator, good to see you as always, and good luck in the debate tomorrow night. We always appreciate your time. Thank you.